couple people got fucked.
Hey, we're about to be live, so.
We'll do it. We'll do a payouts too.
I think we're live.
Live?
We're live.
Oh, sweet.
Hello, welcome everybody. And thanks for joining us. Sorry we're a bit late today. As if you've heard in the cab, actually, not everybody has heard in the cab meeting. We're doing it our live EKF Live a little differently today. We've had some technical challenges throughout the week. So we're going to be, Ken and I are going to be joining you at 9 o'clock. Well, we're planning at 9 o'clock today at 9:30. And then again at 12 or 12:30, we do updates before, tournament updates before the leaderboard standings go offline. That's the goal anyways. We've had some technical challenges.
We're a little late.
So, yeah.
We're a half hour late because of challenges.
Yeah. But if you're joining us, and if you've been keeping up with the event already, taking a look at the leaderboard, you know that it's been a pretty active leaderboard this morning. As we were saying in our podcast and our conversations leading up to this event, we really felt strongly that the Kennebec was going to be a sleeper event in terms of the quality of fish, and I think so far it's showing up. What do you think, Ken?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got just talking to. I mean, we fished it last year, like we said, and so we knew it was going to be a quality fishery. We knew that some people were going to have some issues with it because it is an unknown fishery. But just in talking to the people that had come up and pre-fished, they were telling us that this place is awesome. Anthony Campbell sent me a text message on Thursday. Same thing. This place is amazing. He'd put up 91.5 inches. So yeah, I mean, and that's what's showing out today. We haven't had anybody hit 90 inches yet. It was
not yet.
The week has progressively gotten colder at night. So today started a bit colder than normal. I think it was a little slow at first, and I think the bite is just picking up. Biggest fish is the 19.25, but I think we're going to see some 20s. Problem is, talking to people yesterday at the weed inspection, a lot of people are hitting the same spots. So this is an issue that you have when you have an event like this, or just any event in general, where you have some key areas. There's some areas on the river that have some backwater spots, and just in talking to those people, a lot of those people did well in those spots. So what happens is when you get so much pressure from pre-fishing, come tournament day, it's not fishing as well because you did well in there pre-fishing, but guess what? So did a bunch of other people. Or they may not have done well, but you had a bunch of people go into an area, catch a couple, and it's just not an area that holds that many fish. So yeah, so come tournament day, that tends to be what happens sometimes in certain spots. Something that was amazing in pre-fishing for a lot of people is no longer that come tournament day just because it got hammered.
I'm really curious to see how a river handles that compared to a lake. Like obviously there's back pocket areas that are very similar to a lake, and then you do have some areas here and that we've heard mentioned. We've heard through our conversations with the competitors that there are some people fishing moving water, and that water, could be more durable, but it also changes, right? So today we could see a different place. We could see how some of those rebound. We've heard from some folks that they're catching fish and they're seeing some followers, right? And I think that's the interesting part about this river is I think it's surprising a lot of people in that way as well. Like just the quality of the fish, the quantity of fish, and we're seeing, I think, it reflected in the leaderboard supporting your what you said, Ken, is that the bite's going to heat up after we have colder mornings, But yeah, we've seen it through our own, the fun fishing we've gotten to do this week. It does, around the 10 o'clock hour, seems to heat up a little bit. And I think we are seeing that. The limits at the top of the leaderboard are just gradually getting bigger. We're 2.5 inches away from the 90-inch mark, thanks to Todd Brothers.
Yeah, Todd Brothers is on top. He just actually put up an upgrade at a 16.75.
Yeah.
So, but we know that some people look at Ray Morales. He's got 4 fish, but he's got an 18 and 317. So he's actually got a better average than most guys. So if he puts up, say another 17, he's going to be right up there with Todd Brothers with 87 inches.
It's a good position to be in.
He was talking to me yesterday, and he was saying that he caught, I think it might have been a 19-inch smallie, and he said there were like 40 of them with it. And he visually saw them. So it wasn't forward-facing. It wasn't like, some other kind of fish. It was actual smallies. So they're schooling out there in certain areas at least. So if he can get into another really good one, he's going to go right straight to the top. But this we talked to guys that caught 20s. Qua caught, he was our second place finisher at St. Lawrence River. He caught 6 and 2 5s on the same day. Different spots, but again, areas that a lot of other people have fished as well from our discussions with them. So can you find those fish again? You know what I mean? That's the question. I think a lot of these guys are going to focus on. There's not too much backwater here. It's mostly main river. You're not going to go into a backwater pocket and fish there all day.
Right.
You probably shouldn't anyway. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're not very big. So you should focus on the main river. But you know, you're going to get a kicker. Those spots are for like a kicker bass. So if you can get in there and get one of those or two of those, you're going to be sitting really, really well. You know, like Jake Angel's here, 19.25. You know, we don't know where he caught it, but that's a really good fish. He's not going to cull that fish today.
Probably not. Yeah.
And that's currently the big fish of the tournament. And of course, Jake's in second place. Not surprising. Matt Lee's in third. And we got Quad Dow and Daryl Martin taking up fourth and fifth. So some good limits. Everybody can make moves, but yeah, you know, some people seem to be struggling. You know, we talked about Anthony Campbell putting up 91.5. He's sitting on 31.25 right now. You know, it's a river. The fish don't typically stay in the same spot. They move. So
yeah, I mean that's the environment, right? The interesting piece to me about this event is going to be those sort of backup plans when people are getting to. They have a good practice, but it's not like a lake where you can. I feel like it can be a little bit deceiving on a river where the river is constantly changing. But then the other challenge is if you find yourself presented with a curveball or something that's not quite the way it was in pre-fishing, so much of the river looks good, right? And when you have an oversaturation of those good spots, it's now you have to figure out the nuances of those, like the trees down or submerged rocks, humps, whatever. You've got to find the little differences that in the humps or trees that the fish are actually on versus the ones that they aren't. It can get
you got to cover water unless you're sitting on a spot that has current, the base of a dam, that kind of area. You really got to cover some water because a river is a lot of the same stuff. You know, you running the banks. You can get out there in the middle and probably scope some fish, bridge piling, stuff like that. But you're gonna be running the banks. Casting to laydowns, flipping slop, throwing a frog, and there's just they're not on every laydown. You know what I mean? So you got to cover water in a river. And that's the challenge that people face. You know what I mean? A lot of the people when they come to a river, it's such a different environment that they look. They look for stuff that is more like a pond. They look for the backwater stuff. Well, if you're in a river that doesn't have a lot of that, you're gonna struggle. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to find that. You're gonna have to find those key areas and cover water.
Yeah, I think the other challenge a lot of the competitors did a lot of Google Maps research, right? And one of the fun parts about rivers is how much it changes, right? So what can look good, it's not uncommon to have a spot on Google Maps that looks excellent, right? And you get to it and it's dried up, right? Or just because of the way the seasons go and the way the rivers are managed. There's dams all along the Kennebec River. There's some parts of it that are primarily whitewater for like rafting. Those are the northern parts, and then so there's in some of the areas of dam control. So water let go. It can control the current. So it provides all of that, all those sort of the challenges that go with it that make like the sort of early map study that I know a lot of guys rely on going into pre-fishing. It can make that sort of tough. And I think even here. We've heard many times that people have gone to ramps and immediately see that the water is not what they were expecting or not what they were looking for.
Yeah, the Waterville ramp, we heard about that. Very shallow.
Yeah.
And I learned that lesson at the Connecticut River last year, where I found an oxbow that had two ways in. One way was blocked by a tree. The other way was the water was just high and it went over a road, a dirt road. It was state land, so it was legal. I didn't know it at the time. I did drag in there to fish, but it was shallow. You had to drag in, right? And in a river event, we have portaging rules where you can do that.
Yeah.
So it was legal, and I just assumed that it was probably going to turn out to be private, right? And I was pre-fishing, so that was legal. I just couldn't figure it out at the moment. I had no good signal, so I couldn't figure out if it was private or not. But I went in, and I crushed it. And I knew this was the winning spot. And then come tournament day, the water levels had dropped like 2-3 feet. And now all of a sudden you have the one way in. The other way you could get in. There was water flowing, and there was a tree down. And then the other way, it was no longer the water was no longer. It was a road again. Yeah. And I couldn't get in, and it was brutal. And I went down there to try to see, and I kind of knew just going to the ramp in the morning and just looking at the level, like I can't get in there. No way. But I went down because there was part you could get into part of the Oxbow, and then there was that road, and I thought maybe I could get a kicker in that, and it was just a waste of time. So I wasted like 3 hours of the tournament, at least 3 hours. But that's what happens on a river. You can't predict it. You know what I mean? Some of these rivers around here, they don't. It's not like down south. They don't do dam schedules or release schedules. There's no website you can look for. Down south, it's much more managed because they do it all the time, and it affects commerce and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But our rivers don't do that. So you go up to a spot one day and it's out of the water. Next day it's in the water. Next day it's out of the water. So it can be tough.
That's those rivers for you. I mean, one thing, luckily, and especially coming off of it's our second river event in a row. Coming off the St. Lawrence event, the one thing that's great about this place and what seems to be different from our last event is there is not quite the same challenge catching fish. We already have 91 fish submitted today, and it's still before 10 o'clock, compared to, I think our last event was 79 total for the event. So we're already, we're getting about to the halfway point of the event, and we've already beaten last one. So that's good in terms of the quality of fish in this place. I think it shows. I know we've been saying, I feel like we've been like a broken record about this since we fished it last year, but this place is a really great fishery. We found out through some of our competitors that they've been coming up here for years.
Right.
Somebody used to, I can't remember which one it was, but somebody used to live around here, and then they moved away, and they come up with friends to fish, and they've always fished this place, and they're always catching fish. And we've learned through some folks on social media that there's some massive fish coming out here. 7-pounder.
7.5. He corrected. He said 7.2. It was 7.5. He corrected us.
Which is
that's a monster.
Fish.
Yeah,
tank.
That's a monster. In a month or two, that's going to be an A+. That's feeding up.
Yeah, but it's been a cool week. It's a cool place to check out if you ever get a chance to fish up here. Highly recommend it. In Maine in general, but this river is definitely a sleeper.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can see that right now. I mean, our top 10 almost, our top 4 have 80+ inches. Todd Brothers is almost at 90. We'll definitely see some 90-inch bags, I think. Todd's smallest fish is a 15. Gets a good upgrade, or he's 16, 17. A couple good upgrades, he's over 90 inches. So I think we'll see many people over 90 inches. Jake Angelos at 85, Matt Lee's at 84. So we're going to see some big bags. Then there's a lot of guys in the 70s. And, that's not bad either. You know what I mean? They got a lot of small fish. 12.75 for Darryl Martin is in 5th. One good fish, he's up over 80.
Huge, that can be huge. Those culls are big. Those go a long way,
These guys are going to make moves. And then there might be some people that don't have a signal. There's some areas around here that don't have much of a signal.
That is a real thing up here in this area of Maine. We have, for those that fished at Messalonsky event with us, stayed at Snow Pond and all that, we know that the service is hit or miss in this general vicinity. There's the stretch of river that is in bounds for this event is pretty large, so some people may have it. Some areas might be more remote. I'm always fascinated anytime I get on a river with just how you go to a ramp and you kind of usually some of the launches and stuff are in populated areas, not necessarily like a city, but there's stores around there. It's on a river. So then you launch on the river and you're quickly around nothing, and it's just amazing how out there it can become, and you just don't necessarily think about it. So service is a little spotty. I think we'll see that as people get it throughout the day, but I do agree, Ken. It's the limits are going to get up there. What was our prediction? Did we predict a limit?
We didn't predict a limit. We knew it was going to be at least in the 80s. We were saying high 80s. After talking to some guys, Jake Angelos on our podcast on Monday.
Yes.
Jake said 91 and a half, I believe, something like that.
91, 92.
Yeah, something like that, and a solid bag. What I mean? So not like a giant, and then some smaller fish. But solid, decent fish, 17s, 18s, 19s. So yeah, I think we're going to see 90. I would not be surprised if we saw, 93, 94.
Yeah.
But definitely over 90. I say low 90s either way. Who's going to win this one? And I think we're going to have a couple of people.
Yeah,
right for sure.
I think one of the other things, the concerns we heard going into this event related to the river itself is not necessarily the quantity of fish, but the quality. And of course, we know that are large fish in here, but that was just kind of for the folks that didn't know or weren't familiar with the river, just weren't sure, what kind of fish am I really going to catch if I go up there? Well, we're looking at the fresh baits big bass leaderboard here. We have The top four are 18 plus, and then we also have like shortly like Quad Dow 17 3/4, Daryl is 17. So the top six are already putting in those fish that are honestly I think good quality fish. A 17-inch fish, you know, that's a fish that if I catch, I'm not upset about.
Listen, that's down south. That's not a good fish, but
Right.
in Maine, where the growing period, it gets cold.
Yeah.
In Maine, you know what I mean? They have ice out sometimes in what, June? Yeah,
Sometimes,
it might be too far, but
some of the northern areas.
I'd like to interject. I know the cameraman's not supposed to talk, but
Go for it.
you look at some of these, the history of some of these places like Gunnersville and Chickamauga, how some tournaments are 80s, bags of
Oh, yeah,
80s.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Especially this time of
17-inch
year.
fish, I think globally is a good fish.
It's a solid fish for sure, but even more so up here. That's what I'm saying. You know what I
Right.
mean? There are definitely days down south where it's a tougher bite, you know, but those guys aren't catching a 17 thinking that's a solid fish mostly. You know what I
Right.
mean, we do because
But
our fish are it's different up here.
You go down to Gunnersville though, and you
Yeah.
expect to catch 100 inches,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
meanwhile, if you have like an 85-inch bag, that's a
Solid.
it's a solid limit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think what I'm a little jealous of is seeing, like looking at the big bass leaderboard, seeing Ray Morales' 18-inch smallmouth, knowing that's a river smallmouth,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing how river smallmouth fight. I'm a little jealous of that one today, and it's just some of the conversations we had with him, or that you had with him yesterday, Ken, was just it sounded awesome. In terms
Yeah,
of,
I mean, he's in a good area. You know, we actually had to talk him into fishing it
Yeah.
because he knows another angler that's fishing that area, and he felt like he was encroaching on him.
Yeah.
And you know that he didn't know that angler was. You know, he didn't know about that spot from that angler.
Just
He found it
wasn't planning,
himself,
yeah,
and then you know we looked at it on the map. It's like, dude, that is a huge area.
huge.
Like you that's not how you. This is a competition. You don't come here and pay your entry fee, find a spot, and then see that somebody else is fishing around you, and then go somewhere else. Right? You're throwing your money away, or potentially throwing your money.
Potentially,
away.
yeah.
You know, especially in a big area like that. You know, if it was a specific spot, yeah, maybe you wouldn't do that. You know,
Yeah.
somebody got there first, but. You know, so I'm glad he went there. I'm assuming he went there based on what he has right now. And again, he has 70-25 with 4 fish. And, you know, Max Martin here in 8th place above Ray. Ray's in 9th. He has 70-50,
All largemouth.
but he has no limit.
What
You
do
know
you
what I mean?
think?
So that's the difference. Ray has
that's
4
great,
fish. One more, he's literally gonna shoot right up to the top, 1st or 2nd place.
So we've seen in our last couple events, I think primarily, like probably the better case we would say is our Winnipesaukee event. You know, we're doing our broadcast and we're talking about how you know there was that battle at the top with Jake and I want to say Ray, and ultimately the tournament was decided by the backup plan and the decision making throughout the day. Jake's decision to go swing for the fences with a big largemouth.
It was Mazapala.
Massapala, yes, Massapala, and you know, and they were just going back and forth all day, and then Jake went quiet, right?
Yeah.
What I'm really curious to see, and I'm curious to hear what you think about this, because as I'm looking at this, and as we're talking about the bite heating up at 10 o'clock, to the one question, the thing that I didn't really consider is how do we think that is, and maybe it doesn't, there's no difference, but what do you think the difference is going to be in terms of how the warming temperatures, you know, at like 10 o'clock hour are going to impact? Do you get more of an impact on largemouth, smallmouth, or is it going to be the same?
I think it's both. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I think the challenge, at least with the smallmouth, is they move. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if Ray's telling, you know, is accurate, I mean, I'm sure there wasn't 40 bass there, but you know,
And we're fishing
he saw a
pretty well.
school. He caught one good smallie, and he saw a big school
We
with
saw the family,
you
yeah.
know. So that's what they're doing. So I think, yeah. I mean, I think you have large. I don't know. It's cloudy. I don't know how. It's getting a little sunny right now.
I don't know. I think it's perfect conditions.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
those
it's great,
backwater
but, you know,
largies.
is it going to get hot enough that's going to push the the largemouth a little bit more predictable when it's really hot? The sun comes out. They're going to push up to wood.
Mhm.
You know, guys told us that they weren't on the wood this week, which is surprising. But you know, with a cold morning, maybe this is what they're doing now. You know, because the bass might associate with the wood a little bit more,
Sure.
because it retains the heat. But you know, as the day progresses, I'm not sure you can. You know, the bass are going to really push into that cover as they would on maybe a really hot day. So I don't know. I think the fishing is definitely going to get better. It got better for us. We came out.
Definitely did.
We're staying on a lake down south here, and it got better for us throughout the day. I put up 91.5. We went out yesterday. What time did we go out? Afternoon, 3 o'clock? No, 1 o'clock, something like that. 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Like
Still 3:30. Yeah, midday. You know what I mean? And they were active. So I don't know. I definitely think it's going to help. It's not going to hurt them. I don't think it's going to hurt them.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was. I was just thinking about that. Like sometimes it does. Because on so many places, especially lakes, like the commitment to largemouth or smallmouth can be the difference, right? Or the committing to one or the other and being unwilling to adjust, can come into play too. But it seems like largemouth they're dominating in terms of size. I don't know I don't know if we have a breakdown of largemouth to smallmouth, but it seems like the largemouth limits are filling up faster than the smallmouth. But that could be because of areas. That could just be because folks are moving. Maybe it's their plan to pick up a couple. Maybe the smallmouth, the cookie cutter size in certain areas, so you grab a few, fill out the limit, and then.
But I don't know if you go back to Ray, he's got a bag of what 17s was it?
Yeah, Ray's got a quality
17.
So he found the better quality smallmouth.
Well, here's an interesting thing. We know somebody else that's fishing up near Ray. When we were doing the weed inspections last night, when Jake and Matt Lee pulled in, he said that's who I saw the other day at his spot. So Jake and Matt haven't put up a fish in a while. Mm-hmm. Think they're making a run? Not a run, but making a move. They would have had to go to this where they started, get a limit, and then shoot up to that spot.
Get a limit in the crowd just to see what they can't work because they know there's good fish in that area. Yeah. And then if it's just too crowded, just to
making a move right now. We saw that. Like you were saying at Winnipesaukee, Jake went quiet, didn't put up anything for a bit. And that's what he was doing. He was going for a largie.
It's either that or they have an okay limit right now that just could be tossing back dinks.
Right. Yeah.
Could be.
I mean, we know where they're fishing. A lot of people are fishing around them. A lot of the crowd, the anglers are fishing around that area. So we know it's quality. It's where we fished last year when we came here and checked things out to see if it was a worthy fishery, and we did well in 3 hours. So. We know the people that are fishing here. In fact, the top three or three of the top four, or at least or top five, four of the top five are fishing there.
Yeah.
And then we go down a little. Yeah. So a lot of people are in that area. So the fish are definitely there. But it could be just slowing down midday. We're hitting 10 a.m. Also if there is a lot of anglers there and you fish in a river, there's not a lot of leapfrogging. You know what I mean? So a lot of going back over areas that other anglers have fished. So we might need to, or anglers might need to start separating themselves.
Sure.
Making longer runs before they start fishing again, just skipping over a lot of stuff, just kind of get away from the crowd, fish some, some unmolested water, as they would say,
Yeah. And there's, moving and making moves in a river too can also be challenging. We've heard from some guys that the navigation of, getting to certain spots requires,
well, of course, a
couple of shifting to the back, shifting to the right, like lifting the motor up.
Yeah, there's some shallow areas here, and in fact, Corey Walker told us, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is accurate. I didn't know it, but when you get farther down south, it's tidal.
I did see if you I was Google searching a while back, just fishing the Kennebec, and you do see a lot of stripers.
Yeah, I mean it's I did not realize that was in bounds, but yeah, it makes sense. You get past the last dam, and you're gonna have tidal water, so. He said that was moving really, really, really quick. So, Chris Gomes called me and asked me if look at this. Oh, here it goes.
Here it goes. Ray's upgrade.
Ray Morales, 1775, 88 inches, top of the lead.
Takes the lead. Yep.
Yeah, that's just as we said. Well, that's a largemouth.
Ray could be making a move as well. I don't know. Or sometimes, the amount of times I get on a smallmouth spot and then I catch a stray largemouth. What are you doing?
No, he's in an area that has both. I mean, I think this whole river is that. You caught a smallie in a spot last year that was weedy, dirty water.
Dirty water.
We were throwing frogs, and there was a smallie in there. So everywhere you can get a mixed bag, but yeah, that's a.
So doing some photo research, it does seem like Ray's a little closer to shore now.
Yeah. Well, he turned his graph off, so he's not.
Oh, it's on a little bit, but the transducer's up.
Oh, I gotcha. Ray shows a lot with his photos. He takes them. He puts the the camera way up.
Then he
So
has a billboard of a fish finder.
Yeah.
So
it gives a bit away sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's great for the broadcast. We
of course,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
Give a little insight on what he's doing. But yeah, I don't know what I was saying before that, but there he goes.
It's great. I mean, it's good to see that. Honestly, it's good. It's really cool when you see a good mix, and you don't see that. We've had so many tournaments where it's like clear it's going to be a smallmouth bite or something. The occasional angler or a few anglers will take a shot on the big largemouth bite or big small, vice versa. Whichever is playing. But it's good to see an even mix here. And I wonder if some of these patterns. I wonder if people are even like. If the fish are just intermingled that much, if they're just going for fish in the area versus like.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess that most people are just running the banks.
Oh yeah, I would think so.
Mm-hmm. Just running the banks, flipping, just picking them off when they can. I don't think many people are probably out here working a pattern.
Yeah, and that's the cool part of this place, and we saw it, right? Like you can go from being in 2 feet of water, and in 10 feet, 10 feet distance, you're in 20.
Yep.
That's the cool part about a river is it's just what it is. Like it's just deep, and sometimes there's big trees that have been hanging out down there forever.
Yep, there's
sometimes
there's
new trees.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff for sure.
Man, Todd Brothers is his smallest is 15.75.
Yeah.
That's not a big margin.
No, it's close. It's Ray certainly has not won this thing at all. Nobody has.
No, and I guess the challenge though for Ray now is his upgrades are going to be more difficult to get, right? Like his threshold now is 17 and a quarter is the smallest,
right?
So anything smaller than 17 and a half is not an upgrade.
Yeah, we've gotten to that point where some of these guys are going to have a hard time upgrading. They're going to have to go for 20s.
And based on the time, looking at Ray's submissions, and it looks like his biggest was a little after 7. I don't know if they've gradually gotten smaller.
No, my guess. No, he had some 17.25s up.
Yeah.
My guess is Ray was hunting smallmouth. He was probably scoping them, looking for them, and maybe he's not seeing them anymore, and so now he's gone shallow or to the bank or to the if there's any backwater stuff where he is.
Just noticed a little fun thing. Congratulations to Matt Lee, who won our Doomsday giveaway. I see he's putting that rod to use immediately.
Already?
Yes.
Look at that.
And his 18 and a quarter came off of a Doomsday 47 rod. So congratulations, Matt, and
Very nice.
thank you, Doomsday.
Yeah.
Doomsday for the sport.
He was pumped. He thought he won a single rod. He actually won 3.
He won 3.
So he was pretty excited. So that's great. They're fantastic rods from what we hear.
Excellent rods.
From what I hear. I have not thrown them myself, obviously. I'm sponsored by Yak Rods, but
excuse us, everybody.
Yeah, they're fantastic rods.
John uses them. Nate uses them.
If you're a member of EKF, if you're an EKF paid member, you get a discount on these, 30% off. It brings these rods to $100.
Yes.
The 47s.
Yeah,
47.
the 47s, yes. And then it'd also be a discount on the J-Dams, but I haven't purchased one of those yet. But it'll be a good discount regardless. But if you, you can't get many rods for $100 these days.
Good
in
rods,
general,
quality
good rods.
Yes.
I've been extreme. I don't have I don't have a company that I'm loyal to or sponsored by when it comes to rods. I've just kind of always just gone all over the place. And after trying, I've been using it a lot the past couple of days, and then even a couple of weeks ago when I first got it. But I bought the heavy action casting rod from Doomsday, the 47. I just can't believe how good it is in the quality of even things like the reel grips on it, the reel locks and stuff. It's just awesome. So if you have a chance, definitely check those out. Congrats again to Matt Lee, and glad to see it's working out well.
I just want to speak on the J-Dam series. They are the higher end model. They're comparable to what I would say. The blanks are comparable to like a Megabass Levante. If anybody's familiar with those, they're pretty high quality, sought after rods. The blank and the guides on the J-Dam are of the same quality, and they're a fantastic rod. If you're looking for more of that JDM, that's why it's called J-Dam. JDM style esque rods, lightness, sensitivity. Definitely check them out. They're I have a couple of them, and they're fantastic rods.
Yeah, and those are reasonably priced as well, right?
For the quality, 100%.
Yeah, the J-Dams I want to say are what, $250.
Yeah, something like that.
But they also have a fantastic warranty process if you do buy one of those, either the 47 series or the JDAM rods. If you break the rod, you get a hold of customer service, and you can, I think, buy a replacement.
So if you have the pieces, it's half off, right?
Yeah.
Replacement.
Yep. You can, if you break it, you can basically pay half the price, or I don't know, work with customer service.
Yeah. So they're $259.99, but the EKF, if you're an EKF member, 30% off of that price. So that's going to add up. And so it's an even better deal for quality of rod. Hopefully it came through, but as John said, it's similar to. We don't do math live. We should not do math live.
Yeah, it'll be
30%.
It's a significant discount.
Let's just say it's a pretty penny. However many pennies it is, it's a lot. I don't know, but it's good. But I just thought I saw the opportunity, but also, Matt was really excited, so we're happy he's putting those to use, and making good use out of it too. 18 and a quarter is a good way. I don't know if it was his first fish on it, but first trip out with it for sure, and so I'm sure he's happy with that.
All right, so you want to close this out and do a quick recap on the top 10?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, so Ray Morales in first place, 88 inches. Then we have Todd Brothers, 87.5. Jake Angeles, 85.25, who's also in the lead for Big Bass with the 19.25. Matt Lee, 84.5, using the 47 series Doomsday Rod. Thank you, Matt. Quad Dow, 81.5, second place finisher at St. Lawrence River. So, look at him. Again, 15.5 is the smallest one. So
Quad's the guy that's going to drive everyone nuts when he's on our podcast being like, I'm new to this thing,
exactly,
just
right,
starting out. Yeah, sure. Well, that's great.
Started,
yeah.
Right, yeah. There's some people that just, they got that gift.
Mm-hmm.
They can figure it out quick. So, yeah, he's fifth place. This is his second event with EKF.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, he started fishing with MAKB this year.
Last year?
Was it last year? So not that long ago, But yeah, this is first year with EKF, so he's crushing it.
Just showing anybody can be in the top 10. No
Yeah.
matter the odds.
Right. And Darryl Martin, sixth place, 74.5. Then Corey Walker.
Corey Walker's got some momentum ever since he got that pool noodle in his kayak.
Right, that's right. Found a pool noodle on the shoreline. Lucky pool noodle.
Hey, hang on to whatever.
Literally won an event. So then we got Jonathan Richardson, 72. Max Martin, 70.5. And then closing out top 10 is Chris Gomes with 69.25. Yeah. And Chris was on some good fish too. He hasn't found them today, but he showed me some pictures yesterday, and he's in an area that's got them. So
for sure. And there's a lot of people that are not far off from that top 10 number. So be curious to see how it goes.
So yeah, we'll be back around 12:30.
12:30 or so.
Do a final recap or final update, and
try to stay with you until the leaderboard goes offline, and then
the leaderboard goes offline at 1 p.m. and then we'll see everybody at the awards.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right.
See you all in a little bit.
See ya. Yeah,
We're live.
I think it might be frozen.
We're live now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is going to be our midday, or our second and final update of the day. Real quick before we get started, say hi to my nieces, Izzy and Anna. Good to see you. Hopefully, well, I'm not seeing you, but hopefully enjoying watching. All right, midday update. Ken, we've had a lot of movement on the leaderboard. What do we got?
Yeah, we have,
Hey.
Todd Brook.
Maybe we should make a post on Facebook saying we're back live so people know.
I guess.
Okay.
Right now.
And we're live.
Still alive. Okay, so we've seen, we got a lead change from our last update.
Yes.
Todd Brothers is taking the lead, and he is also...
Actually, they were two, because Jake took the lead first.
Yes. Okay, so we've had a lot, but we have reached the 90-inch mark.
Yeah.
Todd Brothers with 90 3/4 currently in first place. We've also seen a new leader on top of the fresh baits, Big Bass. Qua Dow, the person who says he's new to fishing, seems to be picking it up real quick. 19 3/4 largemouth, currently in the lead. Second place, Jake with 19 1/4. So he's taken over that lead again. Could be the second event in the row where he's got the big bass. We've also seen a bunch of people get on the board for the first time. I don't know if we have, it's a matter of just getting soul service or not, but Tammy Sanchez has submitted some fish. She has a limit of largemouth, 71 3/4. She's on the board. And we're seeing people work their way up gradually by like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch increments. From 7th place to 9th place, we have, they're separated by a 1/2 inch, and all of those positions are spots where, a big fish could be a huge upgrade. So there's a lot of limits with like the 13s, the 12-inch fish that, if you get a 17, you're all of a sudden, like Judy, for example, Judy Richardson's smallest fish, 13 1/4. If she gets a 5-inch upgrade, she's breaking 80. She's moving quite a bit up the leaderboard. So we're seeing a lot of movement, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it's been slow, though. I mean, it's
slowing down.
definitely slowed down since the last update. Ray Morales still at 88. Quaz moved up a little bit. Obviously, you got that big one. Matt Lee moved up a little bit. But they're still sub 90 inches.
Yeah.
And we got an hour and a half left.
We haven't seen the big Jake move yet.
We haven't seen any big, any 20s. We know a lot of people caught 20s in pre-fishing.
We do. Yeah, we were saying,
Makes you wonder if they ruined their,
could
not
be.
necessarily ruined the spots, but it just got beat up. Because
Yeah.
we know, we know a lot of these guys are in the same spot.
And at the weed inspections yesterday, the predictions from the folks there about what we thought the big bass was going to be were around 21. So that's based on some of the fish sizes that were being caught during pre-fishing. But tournament day changes. There's always something different about tournament day, whether it's a mentality or really it's just the way these bodies of water react to being fished, pressure fished for 3 days.
Could just be a tough bite. John went out here to the lake.
Yep.
And you were out there for what? 45 minutes or so?
I'd say so.
Didn't catch anything.
It's tough.
So we were out there yesterday and we caught a bunch.
Yeah, same place, just 24-hour difference. It can be a lot. We did get a little bit of rain this morning here. I don't know if that's we're about 40 minutes away from the river. Well, not from where most of the field is fishing, so they may not have experienced that weather. But sometimes just the changing weather, right? Like the quick rain, cloudy skies, like just that off and on.
Yeah, just a couple of degrees in temperature.
Yeah,
a shift it can shut them down or fire them up. So again, it was colder last night. So that could have been all it took. To shut these fish down. At least the bigger fish. There are a lot of smaller fish being caught, but the bigger ones. We've got some good ones. A lot of 16s, 17s, but again, no 20s, 2 19s, 2 18s, and then the rest are 17s and smaller. So
yeah.
But like I said, we know probably half the field is fishing in one area, or they do
at least starting in one area.
One area, and they probably pre-fished in that area. So that's probably, if we had more anglers for this event, I think we'd see some different numbers
For sure.
but still surprises here with Chris Gomes. We know he was on some good fishing. We know he is not fishing with the crowd. He's up there, fishing an area that's remote. and he's struggling.
He's got some, 213.5s that, aren't are typically the fish that are easier to upgrade, but also, a 17-inch fish, sorry. This 17-inch fish is a huge upgrade from that. And you can climb really quick. If he gets rid of those 213s with, say, a 17, all of a sudden, he's going to be over 80 inches, and, that's going to bring him, sixth place, if not more, but the Matt Lee's the lowest of the 80s, which is 86.5, which is not that low, but still. So I think that's what everyone's kind of scraping and clawing to get to. And I'm curious to see if the last half hour some of these fish, or the people figure something out. But there's a good chance.
Again, they might not have signal too. So some of these guys might have a 20, and they're not uploading it because they can't.
What's also cool to see is we have 20 anglers with fish submitted, scored fish for this event out of 22, which is great. It's good. It's always good. We put these events on, and we hope everybody catches fish, but it's always good to see the entire field, or a good majority of the field putting fish up. We do know there's a couple people that, had to leave, and a couple of things have come up. So for the most part,
everybody who's fishing has put fish on the board.
Yep, that's great. Again, I think it speaks to the river and the quality of the fishery. It is a bit of a sleeper. Torrance Davis started the day strong. Doesn't seem to be able to find any of those kickers, but the day's still young. We kind of have a rough idea of where he's fishing. It's a spot that's got the potential to show some big fish. Yeah.
But he's got one of the slower vessels. He's running a blue sky, Jackson Blue Sky. So he does not put a lot of miles on that thing, in the tournament. So, he's just probably sitting somewhere waiting for the fish to come to him. Might not work out, you know what I mean? That's not always the best strategy in a river. But you never know. I don't know where he's fishing. He might be on the move, and that's just what kind of fish he's running into. So, but yeah, a lot of mixed bags. A lot of largemouth, a lot of smallies.
What's interesting, one of the things that I'm kind of keeping an eye on is I'm seeing Anthony Campbell on 19th, and just based on what we heard from his pre-fishing, it doesn't quite match up, and part of that could be the bite has changed. The other part could be no service. Maybe he just hasn't submitted stuff.
It's possible.
I think you're going to see a lot of, maybe not necessarily movement on the leaderboard, but submissions, in between the end of the event and the photo submission deadline. I think you might see a couple of those. We've all had events where it's like you leave your kayak on the shore and run down the street real quick, submit your fish, and then, come back. So I don't know if it's one of those situations or what, but
we'll see some movement before the end of the day for sure. But yeah, it's disappointing. Seeing Anthony down there with 31-25, knowing that he put up 91.5 on Thursday. And he's probably fishing the same area, right? Of course, why wouldn't he? He's confident in that area as well. He didn't fish it yesterday. He didn't even fish the river yesterday. He went somewhere else. So is that going to bite him? You wonder. You try to go and find a secondary spot just in case this one didn't work out, or find a spot nearby his starting spot. I wonder if he's gonna regret maybe not doing that one. Yeah,
it's always tough, and when you get on a bite, you find a pattern during pre-fishing. It gets exciting. You're feeling good about it. And sometimes it's really easy to think about. Maybe I ought to go back tomorrow, not to fish the spot that I like, but to explore around and find the backup plan A, B, and C.
Yep.
Because what I've had happen is, my own experiences. I've had good pre-fishes and good days pre-fishing, and then tournament time, you find out somebody else also found that spot the day you weren't there, and that all of a sudden you're sharing it. Or, the other thing that happens just as often is that the bite has changed, the fish aren't there, and all of a sudden what you thought was a great spot for the tournament just feels like a place you've never been before because you don't have that backup plan. And that's when the mind games start, because you don't know if you should go back. Like, you feel like you're leaving fish to find fish. Maybe the fish just haven't shown up yet, and you don't really know if they're going to. That's the name of the game. And so that can be really tough. And, finding those other spots and expanding, essentially, like, doing more pre-fishing during the event is always tough. And the morale can get low. Confidence gets shot. It's tough. Those long days where you almost forget how to set a hook.
Right.
And then, so it's tough. But Todd Brothers has made I would say the biggest move. He has 3 solid fish in his limit. He has a 19, 18 3/4, and 18.5. And if he can get another another 18, he'd be calling out a 16 3/4, and I don't know. That might be tough to beat. I think that might be tough to overcome in this event.
Yeah,
Oh, some movement. Dom Aquino with 19-inch largemouth.
moves him up into 7th place.
Sounds like a really great upgrade. What was that upgrade? Must have been a smaller fish.
Yeah.
I did predict that there was going to be quite a few 19-inch fish caught, so I still
Out of 19. How many do we have now? 3? 3 19-inch fish?
4.
4. Nice. And good for Dom. That's great. Looking at that fish now, I'm trying to get some clues as to what he's doing. I'm not getting anything from him. So good job, Dom, keeping it quiet. Yeah, that's a good looking fish right there too. It's a big. That fish is feeding up. Look at the gut on that thing. It is that time of year. You know, the fish are going to come up these cold nights and colder mornings. They're going to start figuring out it's time to feed. It's always a toss up as to when that's going to happen, though. It doesn't always happen when you would think. Water temperature takes a little bit longer to change. You know, it can just kind of hold things up a little bit. So, was looking to see what else we have for upgrades here. Hey, John Richardson, did he upgrade since we were live? Looks like he did. 1039. He put up a 17 largemouth. John's one of those guys that can find them really quick too, and he can do some last minute. He likes to sit through the weeds and just kind of patiently go through there. I don't know if that's what he's doing. If that is what he's doing, though, I mean, sometimes that really works out at the end. Those fish just start moving through.
We haven't seen, Jake hasn't uploaded in a bit. Again,
Yeah.
Matt hasn't. Ray hasn't. Ray's still in 3rd place. His last upload was at 9:53. 10:15 for Jake. Let's see, Matt Lee. I know he uploaded something recently, but Matt was 12:07. He put up a 16:75. So yeah, it's been a bit since these guys put any fish up. So you never know. They could be holding fish. They could be, again, no signal, or just making moves, or they're not catching anything.
Yeah,
that's the other option. They're just not catching anything.
I wonder if
Definitely a slow time of day.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that secondary bite that we typically get, I would say around 12 to 1. I wonder if that's just not quite how, not quite how the river's fish compared to a lake. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So not a lot to report, but hopefully there's some updates soon. Probably going to wrap it up here, but before we do, I want to take a time to thank our sponsors for this season. Definitely want to thank Dakota Lithium for all their support. Dakota has been with EKF from the beginning. They've been a great sponsor to us. They're very generous with the giveaways, and honestly, I don't know that the past four seasons would have been possible without their support. So big thank you to them. Big thank you to Black Hall Outfitters. This is our first year working with them. It's been a great situation for us. Their support has been great. We appreciate it. Who are those? Power Pole, thank you. That's a new one from this year. It's been great working with them. And all these sponsors that provide us with things to give you all back, is something we very much appreciate.
Rogue, Reaction Tackle, Yak Attack, Lead-Free Bass Jigs.
Yeah, Lead-Free Bass Jigs. That was one we met at the expo.
Yeah. He's the guy's legend around here. And
great Ned heads, all kinds of great stuff.
Remember, if you're a member, you got discounts. We got a members-only section on the website. If you don't have the password, just reach out. We'll give it to you. Utilize these passwords because, sponsors change year to year sometimes. And so, we might not have these sponsors or some of them next year. So if you want to discount on, say, a Doomsday Rod, you know what I mean? Maybe we're not with Doomsday next year, but hopefully we are.
Hopefully, yeah.
And, but utilize that 30% discount now.
Yeah, use that code. It helps us support those who support us.
And obviously, we want to thank Mike Guarino.
Yes.
With Mid-Maine Bass Fishing. He was a great help with this year with getting us some lodging, some discounts and stuff. We had some much bigger plans originally, but lower turnouts and stuff, we couldn't pull that off. But he's been there helping us.
We've been working with Mike for years. He's been a great resource for the area, places we can have the awards just in general, and he did get us a venue for the awards this time, so we very much appreciate it.
And he's a guide. He's a guide on Messalonsky and all the local lakes around here, the Belgrade region. So if you're looking to come up and get on some some fish, some pike, some bass. Reach out to him. If you don't know who he is, reach out to us. We'll put you in contact with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick before we close the stream, we never shared the payouts for today.
Oh,
so we were working on this a little bit. This is something that with the amount of anglers we have, we're trying to make sure that we're still paying out 3 spots. So for first place today is taking home $1,416. Second place is taking home $914. The number of entries we have, we typically would only pay out 2 spots. But for this event, EKF is putting in $500 so we can pay a third place. So third place will be taking home $500. And Fresh Bait's Big Bass will also be taking home $500. So not our best turnout, but still good payouts for the anglers. So there's a lot, a good chunk of change at stake here for those competing. So again, we want to thank you all. This is our last regular season event of 2024. Our championship is in 3 weeks on Candlewood. So we're not sure exactly what we're going to do for our broadcast for that, but sure we'll be doing something. So we'll see you then. Thank you all. Thanks, Ken.
Yep. Thank you. See you next one.